We'll have Coach Bolt will go first, and then we'll begin with players. I'll open up the floor for questions, and I'll start with Mike Babcock, Hale Varsity.
Okay, thanks, Coach.
Yeah, you bet.
My question is, in the context of the pandemic and everything, as you prepare the players mentally to play the game, is there more pressure on you as a coach to deal with that other aspect of the mental preparation, or is it pretty much baseball and guys are pretty focused there?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes back to the things that we try to preach to them daily, even before the pandemic, is you never know when, that this practice may be your last for whatever reason. And so we were living that firsthand back in March when we got the season ripped away from us. And, there were some uneasy times there for a couple of months. I think once our guys were able to start playing some summer baseball, getting back out there and getting back into some of their routines, you could just kind of tell the spirits picked up a little bit. And that's really carried on into the fall, where guys basically played all the way into August. And fortunately, we were able to get in and start training pretty much immediately. So, again, just baseball is such a game of repetition and such a game where you just got to show up every day and try to be as consistent as you can. And so those are the things we try to preach to them even before that, and then just kind of try to continue that on even during those strange times.
Okay, go to Michael Brunson from 24/7.
Hey, Will, how's it going?
Good.
Can you kind of get into, I guess, where you guys are at roster-wise right now in terms of depth, and seems like at least heading into this fall, you guys have a lot of options at the plate and can kind of move guys around in the field a little bit more than you could maybe last year?
Yeah, I mean, that was definitely a focus with the roster management in the offseason, just some of the moves that we've made, bringing guys in. We wanted to address the depth in the infield, behind the plate. I think we've done that. We've added some pieces that are versatile, athletic, physical. Hopefully durability comes from that, and just having the ability to, like you said, just have some different moving parts, guys that could play different spots. We wanted to have multiple guys on our roster that we felt like we could play shortstop if need be, kind of knowing that Spencer would have a chance to pitch this year possibly. So far so good, just kind of seeing what we've seen just in the limited time for a couple of weeks here. But I was pleased yesterday just seeing first scrimmage out of the chutes where we were just pretty crisp, especially defensively. And you saw a lot of different guys handle the ball in some different positions. So definitely a key focus for us in the offseason with kind of rebuilding the roster a little bit, and pretty excited with where we're at that way.
Okay, next we'll go to Evan Blanda, Omaha World Herald.
Morning, Will. How are you?
Good.
Hey, you mentioned Spencer Schwellenbach a little bit. I guess I'm just curious, what do you guys as coaches like about his potential as a pitcher? And then what are kind of his range of potential roles for next year? I mean, could he be a starter or a reliever, a two-way guy? What's he playing for right now in terms of figuring that out?
Yeah, well, to answer the first part of your question, he throws a lot of strikes. I mean, he's just seeing his numbers in high school, what he was able to do from a strikeout to walk ratio. I mean, he really didn't walk many guys at all, which is pretty rare for a guy that, he's being asked in high school to do both. And, he's a power pitcher. He's a guy that's been up to the mid-90s even in high school. So, I don't know quite what to expect just yet. He'll throw today in an inter squad, but he looks good in the bullpen. He's around the strike zone. He's got 3 pitches that he can offer. All above average. So, to be a two-way guy, it'd be tough for him probably to start at shortstop and be a starting pitcher as well. So you're probably looking at more of a back-end type guy. And there's been a kind of a long history of good college baseball teams that have had maybe a dynamic position player like Spencer is that can come finish some games off. And I feel like we've got some good options at the back end of the bullpen. And but again, it's kind of one of those things I've told our players too. There's going to be a lot of teams that have a lot of options, guys coming back that maybe they didn't expect. So the more the better, and Spencer certainly adds to that depth.
We'll go to Clark Grell, Lincoln Journal Star.
Hey, Will, thanks for doing this. When you're trying to evaluate 42 guys now, what's trying to get them equal time? What's that challenge been like this fall and, with the expanded roster?
Really, we actually have the same number we had this time last year. We had 42 guys. So, from that standpoint, it's not entirely different. Again, you are juggling maybe a little bit more depth into some certain positions. You just gotta manage your time accordingly when it comes to your batting practice and your bullpen sessions and things like that. But like I said, there's not a whole lot of different than in the past. Like last year, we had 42 guys going in the fall. Same this year. So everybody's 1 through 42. We try to give them equal opportunities to get the job done and to get as much practice time as possible.
Kevin Suits, KLKN. KLL and KGIN.
Hi, Coach. You've made a pretty concerted effort on trying to get some of the best players from the state to join your program, whether it be as a walk-on, and we've even had some guys transfer in like Cam Wynn and Luke Sartori. Why the push to keep the in-state guys here or bring them back in the instance in which they've left?
Yeah, well, I think when you're talking about having a recruiting strategy, you got to start somewhere. And no better place to start than in your own state. I think it's just one of those things where, having played here, having been assistant coach here and recruited in this state, obviously know the love for the Huskers that most everybody has in this state. They grow up, coming to games here. A lot of their parents went to school here. They grow up with, Huskers in their blood. And so that part of it is big, but again, we're going to go where the talent is too, but you got to have in a strategy. You've got to start somewhere, and Nebraska has really good high school baseball. A lot of guys that go off that maybe are a little bit late bloomers, like you alluded to with the junior college players, guys that maybe hadn't made a name for themselves at all out of high school, but just the work habits that are ingrained in them, they come back and they're bigger, stronger, faster, and more ready to play the Division I level, like Griffin Everett, Luke Sartori, those type of guys. So it's a strategy, I think, more than anything, and the fact that there's really good baseball in this state, and the fact that we want to make sure that those guys want to continue to come to Nebraska and not go elsewhere. That's the biggest number one push.
Connor Happer.
Yeah. Hey, Will, obviously you guys only had 15 games in the spring. Was that enough time to kind of get a look at what you had and to evaluate what you had? And then how did that affect your roster management and your roster decisions that you made over the summer with the guys that you added?
Yeah, it was a bit of a small sample size, but we did feel like with the fall, we did have the 2 fall games last fall, plus the 6 weeks of training and the ramp time leading up to our season. So we had some live at-bats that we were able to see from some guys, and we kind of had an idea of how we wanted the roster to look in terms of athleticism and versatility and on the mound, the type of guys that feel like going to help us win. So although the season was short, I feel like we saw a lot in a pretty short amount of time, and we played a tough schedule. You kind of get a feel for, who's going to handle velocity, because we saw a lot of it, early in the spring. From a pitching standpoint, we're facing a couple of lineups that were top 10 type lineups. So who's able to navigate, through those lineups? So we were able to see some of those things. We felt like we wanted to get a little bit more experience on the mound, which we made some junior college moves that way, got the grad transfer there with Chance Roach. And so, we were able to see enough, I think. And honestly, being finished and having our exit meetings in April probably helped us turn the roster over the way we did, because usually it's June. Hopefully, if you're playing in the postseason and then you're having your exit meetings, and there's a pretty short amount of time there to do some things. So pretty much once I kind of figured out that our season was done, that we were not going to come back and play again, it was in ultimate recruit mode and ultimate let's get focused on the 21 team. So that was kind of how that went down.
Michael Bruns.
Well, in fall, how much are you kind of looking at maybe changing around some guys' roles in the pitching staff, maybe from what they were last year? It seemed like you had some guys in summer ball that were maybe starting that have been bullpen guys for you, or vice versa.
Yeah, I think we'll just take a look at everything. I think, like Shea went off and started this summer and did a really nice job. And so we'll take a look at him kind of extending out a little bit. I think we've got several options that can get through a lineup more than one time. So we'll take a look. Probably nobody's going to throw more than 3 innings, maybe 4 by the time we get to the end of the fall. But again, it's what you're seeing in those outings is can a guy get ahead? Can he put guys away? Is he going to be around the zone? Can he change speeds? Those are the things you're looking for guys that can get you later into a ball game as a starter. So, and then you've got your guys that, maybe profile more as bullpen guys, where, maybe they've got one good offering and another one that, they can maybe get 3 outs for you. So we'll take a look at all that stuff. But yeah, we're kind of going to just have a variety of different roles that we're going to look at for our pitchers for sure.
Andrew Ward.
Hey, Will, thanks for doing this. Just what's impressed you so far about Max Anderson? You talked about the in-state kids, and what sort of role do you kind of see him playing this year?
Yeah, Max is he's very mature for a freshman, just in terms of the way he shows up to the yard. I mean, he's just very even keel. He's not going to get too high or too low. I think the thing that we saw with him in high school is he just has a knack to find the barrel. He's got a nose for it. Like he seems to square a lot of balls up, and he's got the plate covered. He's got enough bat speed to cover the inside part of the plate as well. High school shortstop. We've seen him play some third, some first base. I think the bat's going to play. It's going to play pretty quickly. We're going to have to, get creative and figure out, how we're going to get. It's hopefully a good problem to have when you feel like you've got multiple guys that deserve to play, and they'll get the shot as long as they continue to work hard.
Evan Bland.
Hey, well, kind of a two-parter. I guess first, if you wouldn't mind running through the guys who are not competing this fall for whatever reason. And then secondly, I'm just curious how different the dynamic is for fall ball this year. Now that you've been in the program for a year, you're more familiar with the guys as opposed to last year when maybe those guys would show up and you guys were, as coaches, were learning about the players as they were going. How different is this fall ball?
Yeah, from that standpoint, it's a lot different because it was new to everybody. Every single guy that was here, save, I guess, Logan Foster coming in, who I'd been with previously, but everything was new to everybody. So when we're implementing our team defense, our offensive approach, our signs, our, what they can expect from us day to day, just those type of things, everything's new. So you're spending a little more time on some of those intricacies that don't necessarily involve baseball, just getting to know you type stuff. And so to have that many returners back from last year's team for this fall, it helps because they know what to expect from us. Our coaching staff is same group of guys that were here last year. So from that standpoint, you spend a little bit less time getting guys up to speed, and also the veterans can kind of help the newcomers along a little bit easier too. So from that standpoint, it certainly becomes a little more seamless. As far as guys that aren't right now for the fall, we've got Kyle Perry is all-time full-time umpire for the fall. You guys checked that out yesterday. Sorry, Cam. Yeah, so Perry will be out. He had surgery in the off season. Colby Gomez will be out probably for the fall. He had a small procedure. He'll be back. He'll be fine. He'll be playing catch here in a few weeks. But we're going to take it slow with him this fall. Martin will be out for the year. Connor Curry hopefully will be coming back from last year's injury here soon. And I don't have the roster in front of me, so I might be leaving a couple guys out, but those are the guys off the top of my head.
Clark Rell.
Hey, well, I know that with the pandemic, I mean, it's pretty fluid situation and baseball's still quite a ways out, but have you heard or have any idea what a season might look like, or like what a non-conference schedule might look like at Nebraska?
Right now, we're just kind of operating as is. I think a lot more will become a little more clear as we get basketball schedules and we get volleyball schedules and we get some of the schedules for the other sports and their start times and them trying to navigate, the spring sports as well. I do know that they're going to make a commitment to, having us play as many games as possible and to play our championships since we missed those last year. But as far as start date, it's also fluid. There's really no real answer to that right now. But I know there's those probably will start getting answered as we start to see some of these other sports get their schedules.
I'll finish up with Coach Bolt with Kevin Suits.
Coach, how are the guys? With everything that's going on and the protocols that you have to follow now and they're back in class. I know baseball is a little bit different just because they have played. A lot of them have played throughout the summer and now you're back at practice. But just overall, how are they mentally? How are they health-wise and just kind of managing being able to balance school and, back to the things that you want them to do as a baseball player?
Yeah, I think just getting some normalcy back, even though it doesn't look exactly the same as it did before. Last time we all saw each other is incredible for their mental health, just getting out there. And, yesterday after the scrimmage, we were pleased with how it went. But, one thing I wanted to do, I wanted to see their smiles underneath their masks because, you got the masks on, you don't get to see guys' facial reactions. And I just wanted to kind of take that time to say, hey, like, this is pretty cool that we're back. We're on the field, we're competing, we're all together. I'd say the mental state is they're excited. They're excited to be back, regardless of what that looks like. There's concessions that have to be made on everybody's end to make sure that we get to continue to do these things. But they've been great. They've worked incredibly hard. Again, they're excited to be back on the baseball field, and we got a good group of guys.